Hello and welcome to an exciting episode of Gotham Sound TV. Thank you for joining us. We are live. So put your thoughts in the comments, please. I am here with Joe Pfeil. Joe, welcome on this beautiful day.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. We are here to talk about a feature film that you mixed called Inheritance. And you were the production sound mixer.
Yep.
So we have some clips. We have lots of pictures. We're excited to tell the story, and there's a very specific reason why I asked Joe to come in and talk about this. But yeah, for sure, ask your questions. I can see them down here. I think I can see them, and we'll get to them and be able to ask Joe. That Joe is looking at where I'm looking at the old questions. It pushes up the old. Okay. The old comments and stuff. So as new ones come in, we get to see them. Okay, so let's get into it. Inheritance is a feature film directed by Neil Burger.
Neil Burger, who has done some big movies and wanted to do a lower budget, non-union, travel around the world spy thriller. Mm-hmm. Shot entirely on the iPhone. Mm-hmm. Not as a gimmick, but to give us access. Mm-hmm. And that was the aesthetic, allowing us to be in the middle of a crowd of people and hopefully, if we do our job right, not attract attention. So we could shoot a real scene in public and the public is none the wiser.
Now, this is sort of like a holy grail. I think a lot of filmmakers say they want to do this. I always try and make this not about me, but I will tell this one story of this was a union film, and the director came to the crew and said, I want to shoot this scene on Fifth Avenue, and I want us to be really inconspicuous. So we went over the shoulder, and we show up on set, and the Grips had constructed this giant scaffolding with duvetine all around it to hide the camera. Of course, it was
inconspicuous.
Right. So this is not what Neil was talking about.
No.
So just to contextualize this, first of all, go see this movie. It's a good movie. It's a good spy thriller and family drama, but yeah, like a great story. But this is really like you said, it's all shot on iPhone, and the director absolutely was committed to this.
He wanted a guerrilla-style aesthetic, which would mean nobody's looking at our actress, hopefully. No one's looking at the camera. Mm-hmm. And if anything, they're reacting as if she is not an actress. She's just a person running through a crowd, and people react authentically. And for an American crew to be in Egypt and India and South Korea to gather no attention from the public required us to premeditate what would get attention and what we should look like and how we should act.
So let's go to the beginning. Because I came into this after you came back, and you had just finished it, and there was like a mixer, and this is going back like 2-3 years ago at this point.
Yeah,
like,
I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I said, Joe, we got to sit down when this thing comes out and talk about it. Tell me about the initial conversation that you had, because for me, that's always like a telling point. Like with the tech stuff,
it was a big deal. I was excited.
Neil, so at some point you were in a room with Neil or on the phone with him.
Well, first I get contacted by a good sound mixer friend, Dimitri.
Yes.
He was offered this job. He thought about it, decided against taking this job, thinking that he might not be the right fit for the job, but he knows who would be. And Dimitri and I go back, and we've camped together. We've done some really fun stuff together.
And we've had you on with Outcast.
Yeah, Outlast.
Outlast,
yeah.
sorry.
So Dimitri and I have a bit of outdoor background.
Right.
He knows a bit about me, and I try to be a useful person. Mm-hmm. I try to have useful skills. And being a Zaxcom mixer, being a documentary traveling person, I thought that I could actually do what Neil wanted, which was a heavy order. He said no boom mic, no visible equipment, possibly no support, Sometimes we did have a little bit of support to help us with our equipment, but for the most part, everything
And
you've
support
got,
meaning like a
support,
fixer or an.
like I've got a photo right here at the
Oh,
pyramids, and
stand by 1 second, please. Let's see.
sometimes you've got a sound bag on an Orca OR-26, little rolly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Let's see if I can keep up with you. There's the roly-poly luggage.
So that's set up in airport mode.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a mic on the side to stop and pick ambulances. But sometimes you're out by the pyramids with everything you've got, including all the comms, and it can be kind of tough. You want to bring just enough, but just everything that's going to be needed.
Totally. And so I've been in those initial conversations, and they like, no boom mic, and you're like, yeah, whatever. But you knew that he meant it.
He really meant it. He meant no boom, and you have to be as inconspicuous as possible.
And furthermore, you knew that he was committed to an iPhone, because I've also had those conversations where all of a sudden, like an Alexa Mini shows up.
The iPhone was probably one of the earlier choices in its access. He knew that would give access, and that was the whole point. And that's why it feels like you're with our lead actress traveling around the world, because it's so intimate. And you couldn't have done that with a bigger camera.
No, not in the way that
Certainly in the way that it was done.
Right.
No,
No lockups, nothing. All right, and so you are talking to the director. Director lays out their vision. You came up with something really ingenious that I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't know that it would have been on my radar until we were much closer, but for you it was integral. Tell us about that.
So for us to be a crew in sync and to work in public, what I wanted us to do is to communicate. We couldn't use walkies. So I put a ZMT4 transmitter on both my director and assistant director with a push-to-talk mic.
Yeah.
Wired by Gotham Sound. And they were able to whisper
find it.
all directions into me.
There we go.
I was able to whisper through my Nova all directions to the rest of the crew. Yes, sound is rolling, any notes, whatever. Neil, the director, can tell our camera person what to do, when to do it. Everyone is in sync, whispering to each other, pulling off scenes, and also sometimes we'd provide cover. And we also had security guards and police that were on our side in certain scenes when we needed a bit of protection from crowds.
And there, in fact, there were police in the movie at times.
Yeah. We had the Egyptian government was very excited to work with us and gave us everything to facilitate as smooth of a shoot as possible, which is really, really, it was wonderful.
But still committed, like there weren't PAs locking streets up, like you were in the middle of it.
No, just when Maya crosses a really busy, I have a shot actually, maybe it's a video, maybe just a shot. Some dangerous street crossings. We have extras help, we have police help, but it's in there somewhere. Maybe one of the earlier ones.
Let's see. There's the photo.
There it is.
Okay.
So we had to cross this, and that's fast traffic. That's a lot of people making a lot of noise, and you don't want to show that you've got a couple police officers stopping traffic and trying to keep it safe. So you ride the line between. You want to be in and out of a location as quick as possible, and so we'll shoot a scene a few times, full energy, and then bounce as fast as we can.
So I'm going to ask you this: were there times where you felt unsafe, or did you always feel safe?
No, I don't think so. No, we had a really thoughtful group of people, so we were never put into any situation that we hadn't planned on.
And I imagine that the communication system that you devised was integral not just to directing, but also to the safety.
Yeah, it was really cool by not relying on walkies and by having such a sensitive communication network. I called it the little whisper network. You're never unable to tell everybody what's happening in real time that can affect what they're doing. So in a quarter second, people can change what they're doing so they don't take a shot of the whole crew diving behind an alley.
Right.
Our camera person can really move with an iPhone, so most of the time we're sprinting around in circles trying to stay out of the shot.
I want to find the image that you sent us of the iPhone itself.
With Jackson and Neil.
Where is it?
Oh, you might have them backwards from oldest to newest.
Oh boy, it's a good thing we planned this. Let's see, it's got to be in here somewhere. Sorry, guys, stay with us. I will find it. I'm determined. It's waterproof. We'll get to all this stuff.
It'll probably be the last one you see.
Where did it go? That's so weird. It
was at the very end, but looks like you got these backwards now. Is it not that last one?
The last one is this.
No, the first one I meant.
Oh.
No.
No.
Oh well. That's okay.
All right. We'll find it. We'll find it. But anyways, the iPhone rig itself, I'm just going to cycle through these. But the iPhone rig itself, it looks like you guys are up to something. And funnily enough, we talked about, like, what did you guys, when somebody did, because it's obvious you're up to something, but what did you guys tell people when
well, if
somebody
anybody
would question
pays
it?
too much attention, we casually try to brush off that we have a social media influencer, just one person trying to shoot iPhone. And that worked sometimes. Sometimes it didn't. I could go into airplanes.
Anyways.
Tell you about that, where...
I think at this point, let's watch a clip.
Okay.
Yeah, let's let people have a sense of watching a clip from the movie. Now, I got to say, I'll set this up. And I think let's do the motorcycle chase, because that's the most intense one.
Something you can do with a small camera.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I do think people have to watch this, because the clips that we have permission to show don't necessarily show the production dialogue work. But I think the production dialogue work is outstanding. And we'll show some of the rigs that you had for that and talk about that. But let's watch the chase. I'm going to put my headphones on so we can hear it. All right, here we go.
Wait, no!
Fun to watch.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That was 2 days.
Uh-huh.
That stunt driver did something like a 60-foot jump over. Anyways, he was the real deal. That was one of the best stunt riders out there.
Wow.
We did 2 days to cover all that, and I mic'd the bike. I mic'd both of them, and Neil could hear them the whole time.
Wow. And he was presumably in a
we were
follow.
doing scenes like with the traffic jam.
Yeah.
The whole crew is static. The scene goes through the crew. And then the actual mobile scenes, Neil's on a tut-tut. I'm on a different tut-tut. I'm picking up talent and transmitting to Neil, and Neil is giving direction to Jackson, the cameraman.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a little triangle network.
They were rigged in the motorcycle helmets and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the motorcycle. No, I didn't do the helmets. No, I kept it on the. I always wanted to keep the mics under the sheen. So no, I kept it down here.
Nice.
The motorcycle jacket is tough, so
Yeah.
I way up high, but it worked.
And it's people need to watch the whole movie because that whole it's
cool.
Much longer than just the clip we showed, and there is a lot of dialogue going on.
It feels like you're about to get caught.
Yeah,
because you've got this small iPhone lens where it feels like these guys running towards her are constantly about to catch her.
Was the traffic real traffic? Like
no, that was for the jam. That was all ours.
Good.
So we had that entire street.
Good. Okay. Good. I'm actually relieved to hear that.
Yeah, that would have been pretty sketchy.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that this is like a hybrid.
Premeditated. Everybody space out.
Yeah.
Through everybody crushing.
Yeah.
That was pretty thoughtful. It was a good one.
Yeah, that's great. And how were you in contact with post-production either before or after the shoot?
No, my first note from post was we travel from New York to Egypt, Egypt to India, India to South Korea, back to New York. Mm-hmm. And when I left Egypt, I was so afraid that post wasn't going to be happy with my backgrounds because everywhere I went, I had a list of all the motifs and characters that I needed to pull out of each environment to know that I had the corresponding emotions for post to work with. Certain things need to be present to match not just picture, but also there's certain noises that I think need to sell a location so people understand either the tension that you have while you're in that location or just the chaos around Maya and what she's going through and internalizing this. The whole time you're with her, you're not sure what's going to happen. She's trying to figure out what's going to happen.
Right. We should say, and I want to talk about this later, this is a real story. This is absolutely full-on narrative. Mm-hmm. It may look like documentary or they're relying on your documentary instincts, but this is truly a narrative story. It's a hero's journey with a twist at the end. I don't want to ruin it. Mm-hmm. And it's an international thriller.
Spy thriller. Yeah.
And so you had your narrative brain on in terms of what elements.
Well, I read the script for sound. Mm-hmm. I read the script first for story, just to understand the story.
Right.
Then I read the script a second time. I feel like it's a good idea to do it two ways. First, you want to understand the story like a storyteller wants to tell it.
Right.
You don't want to think. You don't want to start taking notes. You just want to understand what's happening and what's it make me think. Mm-hmm. Then I go through with my hat on and start thinking, first off, what is going to be difficult and why? How am I going to, what tools will work with this? How do I do it under the circumstances of you have to at all times be inconspicuous. So how do you do that? A lot of the scenes in Egypt and India were running and traveling through bazaars and markets, and the RF can't go through several layers of concrete and electric wires until you're
right.
You can only push it so far. So I had to be part of the scene. I couldn't just hang out in one spot and watch it go. So
I'm looking.
I have a.
Yeah, I mean, you can see here some of the construction. This is you couldn't be outside around the corner from the stone walls.
No, and no directional antennas.
Right.
I'm working on whips.
Right.
Well, I had a couple of Betzos for car-to-car work, which worked really well. But
yep.
But yeah, all these scenes, I need to be part of it.
I just want to highlight that's you.
That's an ambience recording in South Korea.
Yeah, so that's not you necessarily booming, but we get the idea behind some of the locations.
One of the few times the boom mic gets pulled out. Get a picture.
But that's you as a tourist.
Just carrying my purse, nothing to see.
And you have IEMs for your. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. It's so hot out. I wouldn't want real headphones even if I could. Nothing to see. Everybody else had the bumblebee. What do you call them? The invisible
Yeah, sidekicks. Yeah,
sidekicks.
yeah.
Everybody had those. The director had 2 ears. Everybody else had 1 ear. I wanted real headphones.
So somebody like really looking at you guys would figure out you're up to something. But for the most part, you look.
That's why we could only last so long.
Yeah.
And we had a security guard. Each country, Phoebe had a security guard. Their job was just her.
Right.
And so
Did he
could only last
did he
so
make it
long.
into any shots?
No, but we did have a scene where she exits the scene running, and it's late in the evening, and we're in a location where she exits the scene, gets kind of far away, and as soon as Neil says cut, this security guard closes that gap so fast.
Wow. Because she's known.
She's a celebrity.
Yeah, yeah.
Bridgerton, a lot of people have seen that. And
Yes, internationally.
a couple people around the world say, "Hey, I know who that is."
Wow. Jared did a great thing for us, which is he pulled the photo that I was looking for. So.
Oh yeah, with the iPhone.
Yeah, let me get it going. That's it. Yeah, I can't zoom in on it, but that's the.
Just a small hand rig.
Yeah.
And I believe a polarizer.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes sense. You guys had all those outdoor.
Oh yeah, we're
bright,
in
full-on
the sun the whole time.
And obviously, like, were this a traditional film, you'd have silks flown over and.
Sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah, we all practical.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm holding off on the sort of philosophy of what this means till later in the. I figure we'll go an hour and sort of the second half. That's what we'll talk about. But
Get all esoteric about.
yeah,
AI
but what it
doing our
means.
jobs.
Well, I mean, all right, we'll hold off. But no, I think that it's really successful. Like the photography feels like you are dropped in the middle of this situation. And it's interesting and I wondered if this was intentional, but it almost feels like, in the very beginning until we understand, I'm not really giving anything away. Her mom dies and she's been taking care of her mom until the story gets going. We're like, am I watching like this could be a vertical video? Like what's going on? And then as soon as the story starts to take shape.
The music changes and the action changes and the pacing changes. And all of a sudden you start wondering, where's this going?
Yeah. And
This guy that seemed like he was a good guy.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Maybe not.
Yeah. No, all of that stuff is great. And just a shout out to the score. I thought
It's really good.
Yeah, and each country, has its own kind of like variation on the score that draws from it. And
Oh, you asked about post. I told you I was afraid I didn't have enough for them.
yes, sorry, yes.
And they told me they were so happy with it.
Oh,
and
that's great.
The dialogue was extremely easy because DPA 6061 and ZMT4
Here, we'll get into some of the
can't go wrong.
piece of fur rigs and stuff that you had. Let me find.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can show the costume rig with the
Yeah.
costumer and the piece of fur bumblebee.
Stand by, everybody. We'll get there. I promise. There we go. Okay, here we go.
So
So this is it, head
we
on.
built a couple of bra rigs
Yeah.
that would be worn every day.
Yeah.
So the DPA, the Lav, can slide through a sewn channel up through a controlled spot. The mic couldn't move. We had two different wind setups based on if we're near the pyramids or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it was perfect. I mean, once we finished using it in New York, we didn't adjust it a single time, which is very cool to never have to mess with your actor's mic because it's permanently affixed to the costume.
No, that's
So
great.
her
I'm sure
dialogue- her
she
dialogue
appreciated it.
is
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yes.
Nothing wrong. So I liked that.
And we should talk about some, filming in the monsoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a season in India where it rains. And I guess that's when we were there. So, God, our first day doing pre-pro, we meet the Indian production company. They're going to be helping us facilitate everything. They know anyways, we get there. We're all setting up tents, looking at what's going to happen. Big group of people. We're going to have 200-something extras the next day in this marketplace scene.
Mm-hmm.
Rain. And it's not a little bit of rain. It's about a foot of rain in 30 minutes. Enough to, like, everyone get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, get everything
Flood.
out of here.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I had been aware that rain was going to be a pretty serious thing. I needed to have aqua packs and all sorts of water protection, but this was different.
Oh, well, here's aqua
So
packs.
that's a cool photo. That's my assistant director with her transmitter in an aqua pack
Here.
with a push-to-talk mic. Her radio, that's the Zaxcom URX50, my favorite radio, in an aqua pack, my favorite aqua pack. And that's so she can hear. And sometimes she'll put the two together, but not when it's pouring rain. And so here's a tip. Travel with condoms. Because you might assume that batteries and condoms might be found anywhere, but we go to Egypt, it's dry. We're fine. Get to India, it's monsoon season. And so I asked the Indian production company, hey, can you guys find me a bunch of these unlubricated condoms? And they're like, okay. They send a guy. I think it took 2 or 3 days of somebody looking around town before I got a photo. You got to show this photo.
Wait.
A bunch of what they found eventually. So I got.
Is it here? I would like to think.
On the bed. You should have a white background. I hope it's there.
I don't.
Photos might have been.
I don't remember.
Out of order somehow.
These are no. I don't remember the condom.
Oh man.
But yeah.
Oh well.
Oh.
Well, I got all the condoms in Delhi, India. They were all scented and lubricated.
Oh no! Oh no!
My actress thought I was joking. I was like, "Oh no, put the ZMT in this."
Oh,
and you're gonna So I had to remove the scent of each of these condoms. It was fun.
Well, yeah.
But my gear didn't get destroyed. So.
No, that's for the best. But that is a good safety tip. I also wanted to point out, just since we're talking about GAC.
This is the Bumblebee piece of fur.
Yeah, which you said was a
useful
big
material.
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody needs to have some of this just because you don't know how you're going to use it, but you could create a cone where there's no turbulence in the middle. You can protect wind. There it is.
That's the photo. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all of the...
Wow. All right. It's pretty great. All right. Thanks, production.
They thought I was joking. I was not.
Anyways, back to there.
Yeah, this is a good tool. I would put this in the top when you're outdoors, traveling, extremely mobile. At first I was skeptical about this stuff because you build your own lav rigs and you get really happy and comfortable with them, but I'm learning how to be more flexible and try things that feel awkward.
I hear you. Let's watch another clip. This is a little bit more dialogue. So this is, just to set this up, this is more towards the beginning of the movie. And this is sort of when she realizes that things are starting to go way off the rails. This was supposed to be father-daughter getting to know each other, and an easy job for her that her dad got her. And this is when it all goes off the rails.
Maya, leave the restaurant now.
Why? I just ordered.
Now. I'll take care of the bill later. Just get my iPad and walk away. Fast.
Okay, you're freaking me out. What is going on?
Just hurry up.
I'm going.
Don't hang up. Let me know when you're out the door.
You're being weird.
Just go.
Okay, I'm out. Where are you?
Walk away from the restaurant.
Cops are here.
Just keep moving. Go.
Okay,
That's exciting.
That's all we got. Yeah, I forgot to look at the countdown timer, and I just got complete. Yeah, you're completely drawn in. I have some questions I'm curious about. How did you do the off-camera dialogue?
That I actually recorded in the hotel room with the real mic, the condenser mic.
Did you feed it to her, or just she had to imagine?
Well, we did both. So in scenes like that, they are using the phone. They are both laved. So we have his initial performance.
Because the phone is real, and she's actually talking to the actor.
He's talking. He's 50 feet away.
Oh, okay. All right.
So he's there to help her.
Yeah.
He's already recorded on the lav. We just did it again in the hotel just so I could have another option.
Sure.
The perfect everything.
Yeah.
So it's like you actually don't know which version because you can tell that they they EQ'd it a little bit to be like a cell phone. So I actually don't know which one they did.
Yeah, yeah. And she's reacting in real time to his voice, and then that scene actually continues a lot longer than that.
Yeah, that's why I was watching.
Yeah,
I've only seen the movie once.
Oh yeah, I just saw it Friday night, and it is people should watch it. I feel like. You sent this. We should do the sunglasses clip just because it's also fun. This is sort of before things go off the rails, so I'm going out of order, obviously. Yeah. But this is also sort of a thing that we realize that her character, she's got some sneaky stuff.
She's learning who she is.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
She's growing into her new self.
Yes.
So this is in JFK Airport.
Oh, right, yes.
Phoebe is traveling to Egypt from New York. She's met her father. He wants her to come on some suspicious job. So far, she doesn't exactly trust him. She doesn't have reason to trust him. So she just stole some sunglasses because she's coming into a new identity.
Yes. Oops. Let me kill it. Did you guys steal that at JFK? Like, how did that work?
No, we actually premeditated that. So she did steal it and then come right back
Oh,
with it.
no, I meant, but the shot.
The shot?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know that was happening.
Yeah, you just look like tourists. And
she just came through. So that was all in the script. And
yeah,
she came through, does that. 2 seconds later, brings it back to the sunglasses shop. They don't know it happened until they watch this. And then they'll be very upset, I'm sure.
So it's this, it is this combination of stolen stuff, but also very planned stuff. And I think it is worth, first of all, just a reminder, we are live. So please ask questions in the chat. We'll see them at the top here. That's Nate just checking to make sure the chat's working. So I do want to sort of get into the philosophy of this because I want to make sure first we've covered the sort of technique involved. And I have to compliment you. I'm blown away by your technique, right? This is not just, I'm going to do this doc-style shoot and it's one shot at a time. You were an integral part of storytelling. But you need to, it was like a documentary in its flexibility. Yeah.
It's like reality TV in the extremely strong communication.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is in sync.
Right.
But it's a narrative.
Yeah.
And so you have to give the director space, give the actress space.
Yeah.
Let the camera dance. Everybody else figure it out.
And make sure you did such a great job in making sure that not only production had the elements they needed, but also post-production had the elements they needed.
Yeah, I had a list of ambiances and recordings that needed to be assets.
Yeah.
And I used to do post in the old days, and I came from sound design and video games, and I used to have fun with that. And you could go through libraries and find all sorts of stuff. So I wanted to find things that would be unique. If I saw a vehicle, if I saw an object that is rare and unique to that atmosphere, I would break away from the crew and go get it. And everywhere that we would go, we would do, we would walk through everything. We'd scout. And scout day for me was a work day because everybody else is looking for how this shot's going to happen. And I am away from the group talking, grabbing everything I could.
Yeah.
So we have a whole 10 whatever hour day traveling around the city, and I've got a list of assets that I want to get. And so by the end, they all know how logistically things are going to unfold. I've already understood the levels I'm going to be fighting against.
Which here, let's just
Oh.
to give people a
Egypt.
sense of Egypt. Yeah, here we
This
go. Yeah, it's insane.
It was incredibly hard. Not only the amount of noise that you're trying to work with to get good dialogue, but the RF.
Yeah,
It's metal and bricks everywhere,
yeah,
and a lot of people. And you're outdoors. If you're indoors, you've got reflections to help you. If you're outdoors, you're more exposed to losing radio waves. And it meant we had to stay as a team and stay close, but know when the scene was going to turn around and whip right to where you were hoping to stand. So the AD would tell you, Jackson's about to rip this way, duck behind that plant,
yeah, yeah,
and then you
yeah.
scatter.
No, I think I find this so fascinating in part because we all have worked on shoots that try and do this, and it's not when they whip the camera around, it's not that they just see the sound department. They see the trucks, they see everything, and so to have a director with a singular vision, who is a very talented storyteller.
Yeah, he's good.
And then, have you be able to come up with a system that allows the director to have that vision and keep everybody in
That
sync.
always makes me happy.
Yeah.
People get in a creative mode, and you can't always hold everything at the same time. And that means when some people are in a really creative train of thought, they can't simultaneously be engineers. And I can be a creative person, but when I'm with people making music or doing something creative, I often look at the situation and think, how could this be engineered better?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm happy when I'm helping other people make something creative.
Well, at the end of the day, that is our role. It's the director's story. We're there to help them tell it.
He's got this story, and he's so good at storytelling, and it's captivating to understand or to hear, and to hear somebody talk explaining their story. It's like, yes, first, I love this. Second, yeah, I can do that. Like, you want to make somebody happy who's got that gift of gab, of telling a real story. It's like, I want you to have what you need.
Yeah.
And I hope I gave it to him.
Yeah. Well, the results speak for themselves, for sure. And I also, I want to talk about what it's like, I think philosophically for our industry, where an iPhone can be the primary, storytelling visual device. Look, this is a real film. This is distributed by IFC. Miramax picked it up.
Yeah.
This has life beyond somebody's Neil Berger's
Neil wanted to
YouTube
make
channel.
a point that the iPhone wasn't just a gimmick; it was access.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right. It's not just the size of the device that you're using to capture the image, it's ubiquitous. No one's caring about what you're doing if you don't gather too much attention.
Right.
You could be just shooting social media, just traveling, or just taking pictures.
I think, it occurs to me that your equipment package that you traveled with to make this movie was probably at least 50 to 60 times the expense of the camera package.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty funny. traveling around the world, going through all these airports. That was the most tense moment, really. Going through the carnet process and having people look at your stuff during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
There was some security in India and Egypt going through the airports, and it was a bit much. But yeah, it was funny. They've got 18 iPhones, which is it's $18,000.
Now, that's an interesting thing because I knew they didn't have just one, but
they shoot a few hours on one iPhone, just like a card.
Oh, wow.
So you have a DIT
at
the hotel, and sometimes he'd come to us in the middle of the day just to get more.
Yeah.
And just like you're logging film rolls, an iPhone has it's a chunk of film.
So it's not like they were trying to do 4 angles at once.
Very few shots.
Yeah.
They shot two cameras.
Yeah.
Very, very, very rare.
I mean, when you see the movie, you realize like the camera's so close to the actors, they couldn't really be doing a lot of multiple.
Yeah, they weren't doing coverage. It was one camera, and so they would shoot a certain amount of footage.
Wow.
Dump it.
Yeah.
Next one. Oh, I should tell you about the time code.
Please do. Yes.
So when they pitched the job, I was immediately concerned with how Post could organize this with time code, and we did something really easy. That was we used what's called network protocol.
NTP.
NTP.
Okay.
Network time protocol, and so wherever cell phones connect to cell networks and roaming networks, they ping the network. iPhones ping Apple's NTC servers wherever they are. They tell you where you are on the planet. They modify that time through the delays of the network of exactly where you are and feed you your universal time UTC.
Okay.
Offset for exactly where you are within sub-millisecond accuracy.
Okay.
How good this network of clocks is. And so every day, the iPhone turns on. Through the network, it gets that time, which is accurate.
The cell towers definitely, they're GPS synced and yes.
They're 1 to 2 milliseconds, sometimes 0.5. And so that time code within the iPhone would access the Tentacle Sync app.
Okay.
The Tentacle Sync app can send that time through Bluetooth to the box.
Yes.
That box feeds my Nova, jams the Nova.
With LTC, with good old LTC, yes.
Time code is now in my box, in my transmitters. Zaxcom transmitters have time code.
Yep.
They're all recorders. That also means that the URX50 radios that my crew are wearing all have time code. Everyone sees the same thing.
Yep.
And 2 hours into the day, when they fire up a new iPhone, its clock is going to be the exact sub-millisecond accurate clock when it pings the network.
Right, as soon as it comes
So it's going to jump right into the same game that we're already on.
Yeah.
And so every day, Post only had to make one nudge for the entire day's time code, and they're done.
That's great.
So I was afraid it wouldn't work, but
yeah.
it worked out fine.
Were they doing any editing as you were shooting? Or were you guys watching dailies at all?
They would actually, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because that's great. I can imagine that working. I mean, that is the idea that is the promise of the Tentacle Sync.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear that it works in practice.
It's not perfect, but it doesn't matter that it's not perfect. And by not perfect, I mean when you send time code from the Tentacle from the iPhone to the Tentacle over Bluetooth, that's not a perfect 0 millisecond thing.
Sure, yeah.
So that's your one variable that's going to be different every day is how much time it takes to go from here to there.
Over the Bluetooth link.
Yeah.
But the cameras themselves were all in sync.
Every other aspect is more locked in.
Do you know, this is strictly camera stuff, but do you know if they were using an app?
They had an app so they could modify the image a bit.
Sure. Okay. Like, did you have to deal with it? Was it Filmic Pro or was it
I can't recall which one it was.
Yeah,
but
Blackmagic may have been out by then, but yeah. But one of the apps that talks to the Tentacle and
make it look
locks it.
pretty. Yep.
Makes sense. All right. I do want to switch gears a little bit, and please, anybody have any questions or comments for Joe? Please put them in the chat. I do want to switch gears and, I think it's worth noting that despite the fact that the cameras are incredibly accessible, it's still the skills and very sophisticated gear and very sophisticated thought that help tell the story.
Yeah.
On the sound side in particular, I would say.
Yeah. The camera isn't what sold the story.
Right.
It just allowed a very talented camera person to get intimate with the main actors, be placed in the middle of the story, and then have the story play around us.
I love that, and I think, look, this past week Neo 3 was released, Google's generative AI, and I think that's a really good lesson to remember, is that the ability to type text and have an image with sound and video come out, that's not the story.
Yeah.
That is not a story at all. The story comes from storytellers.
Yeah,
And those that
what's-
serve the
What's so
storytelling.
funny about this is when you get into filmmaking as a sound person, the camera people are the ones who are. It's a camera world. It's
Sure.
a visual
medium.
storytelling
Yeah,
medium.
Sure. Yeah.
And so at least I'm not a camera expert. I don't know everything about cameras.
Yeah.
And so you feel like you're servicing something that you don't fully understand. And you do your best to understand everything about it, but it's really rewarding when you're part of something where communication and sound is so important. And you're giving something to somebody by giving them integrity. You can hear somebody whisper. You can hear the nuances of what they're saying and why
Yes.
they're saying it.
Yes.
There's so much information available in that. And that means that our director, who's so expressive, he could always tell me, the AD, and the camera what to do and where to be and why. Phoebe's about to do this. She's going to do this. I want her to do it like that. Have this happen. And everyone has to react in real time, because usually a director would give direction before a scene.
Yeah.
He will give a direction during a scene. And so during a scene, you're not locked in place waiting for the scene to cut.
Right.
You're reacting to it like it's a documentary.
Yes, like a documentary, but again, true storytelling.
Premeditated.
Yeah, premeditated. No, I think.
But you
that's
didn't know that a motorcycle was about to cut through your shot, in the middle of your shot. You're like, use this, deal with it.
Right.
We can't control very much at all.
Right.
So knowing that.
Because I think one thing that is worth noting, and I hope people watch this, is I think it's a bit, it's important to know that the fourth wall is never broken in this. So documentary does allow that, certainly like verite style documentary. You see the boom, you see the sound person, you see the camera and reflections here.
Yeah, this feels intimate.
Yeah, this is
It's like you're on an adventure.
much more immersive.
And you're just with one person.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have some questions. Gaffy T. Gafferson, was there anything in the sound bag other than the recorder and wireless and time code?
Yes, the camera link. So the signal flow was actors wearing DPAs coming in on ZMT transmitters into MRX receivers. That is a Zaxcom receiver into the Nova. Mixed. I had a mic in the Nova that I can talk into, so I can whisper to the network.
Mm-hmm.
The mix is sent out mono on the camera link to the URX50 receivers. The crew tunes in. Side note, in special circumstances, such as on the... How do I tell this? In special circumstances, just like on Outlast, you can tune directly into a transmitter.
Uh-huh.
And so there were scenes where I'm tuned into one actor on one vehicle, and the director is tuned into another actor, just one other actor, because they didn't know that my Tut-Tut vehicle could keep up with the motorcycle.
Because they were closer to to that main actor.
So I had to give my director options of, push this button, you hear me. which means the actors.
Right.
The whole mix.
The mix and you.
Push this, you just hear this actor. Push this, you just hear that actor.
Right.
And that's simple.
Yeah.
Push the left button.
Yeah.
It's not, you can't mess it up. And so you can program these boxes to just give people the radios that you want to hear. And again, that's not taking someone out of what they're focused on. You're not saying, hey, program this, hit this 4 times.
Right.
Things can get really complicated.
Yeah. No,
So
keeping
you
it simple. Yeah.
Reduce any variables and make it easy so people can stay in the story.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a great place to leave this discussion. Joe, thank you so much. This has been years that I've wanted to sit down and chat with you. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, it was a fun one.
Thank you. Please watch Inheritance. I saw it on YouTube. I rented it on YouTube, but I saw it's on Apple and it's a couple of other. Yeah.
I didn't know. I just saw it in the theater.
Yeah. I missed the theater window, but anyways, see it. It's worth seeing. We'll keep an eye out on the chat. So if you have questions when you watch this one, we're not live, we'll jump in the chat. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Nate. And yeah, if you have ideas, send them to ideas@gothamsound.tv for any future videos or really anything at all. Like and subscribe, all that social media stuff. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.